have the opportunity to do some writing, you can also jot down things that you're reminded of. You know, like I heard her say, this reminds me of this. You know, I won't be offended if you are writing while you're listening. I think that's what poems sometimes make you want to do. Gospel Manuel. There's a story told here by those of us who daydream to the music of crystal and steel. We brought it down from mountains built of fog, where we left the girls we married and old men married to the earth. We fed on it when there was nothing. From hunger, it grew large. And from that dark spot low in each of us, where alone we disappeared to, breathing the cool nothing of night, letting the city farther inside with each siren bleat, each assault of neon light, grounding ourselves to this world with one hand under the head, the other invisible. From that spot, it became a woman, part mother, part more. We learned it by heart, so that each time one of us told it, he told it tasting smoke and corn and the red earth dug up by gangs of faithless dogs. He told it in barely a voice at all, almost not wanting to believe. Miguel, El Lobito. My brother shook me awake and handed me our father's hunting gun. I followed him to the hill that sits between towns. Below, all of ours and all of theirs racing around like two teams after a leather ball. It was a war, he told me. Whoever won would go into the woods and take whatever grew. That night, we sat on the hill watching the fires burn. They'll still be slaves, he said. Nothing that means anything has changed. Luis. The river we crossed to get here is a wide, black, furious serpent that swells with laughter when you step close. At its tail, in a snarl of branches where the rocks come up high enough and land stalls the current, that's where they say you'll find bundles of money and, more than anything, bodies of horses and boys like us. I remember how deep the dark got. Nothing we could do but wait. Even the sound of my own voice in my head echoed, got lost in the sound of what roamed, eyes lit like sparks a house gives off when it burns. I tried to dream of what animal would shine like that from far away. Juan. We crossed the border hours before dawn through a hole dug under a fence. We crossed dressed as soldiers, faces painted mud green. The coyotes that promised we'd make it gave us a straw broom to drag behind, erasing our tracks. They gave us meat drugged for the dogs. Farther off, there were engines, voices, a light that swept the ground. We crossed on our bellies. I wonder if we'll ever stand up. Alejandro el Monstruo. And then it was day, and we were free, riding in the back of an enormous truck, laughing, peeing over the side. When I saw the hills, how they resembled the bodies of our women, I knew this country never stopped being our country. But there are people who don't know and will never care. White faces, black faces, that move past us like empty plates. That's what they think of us. I work and work. At night, I climb to the 6th floor carrying bags of beer. I sit up with whoever's awake, and before long, we're floating, embriagados, happy as we've ever been, half listening to the music, the voices outside. Sometimes we make ourselves believe we never left. The traffic, nothing but wind against the roof. Jesus. I'd like to smash a goblet in my fist. Instead, I watch my hands baptize each piece, making piles of the things I have watched myself make new. I watch my hands until I am watching out from my hands, now in air, now water, each element a shadow of the other. That's this poem. What are some of the things that you found yourself jotting down as you listened, or noticing, wondering? And it's okay too if there are things that you're like, I don't know about that thing you said there. That's okay.
I wrote down old man married to earth. That means like the old man really loved.
Madison Edwards, if you're in the building, please come to the main office.
That the old man really loved the earth and like he had like a relationship with you. And about the woman, that she was part mother and part, I didn't get the other part.
Part mother, part more. Where did your mind go? Like what is, it's imbalanced, right?
Yes.
So what did you do to process that?
I thought about like she was a mother and then I don't know what she was. And feed less dogs. I was like, what? When I heard that.
Faithless dogs. So what do you do? When you're reading a poem, you don't have the poet there to say, why did you say that? The next best thing you have to go on is what it makes you feel. I mean, this is, everything I say is coming through me, and I have biases, I guess, or just things I like. So I like when poems make me feel something. You know, I like when I think, but I get really excited when a poem can make something happen. Like, ooh, my heart wants to say something. So I trust that first. So what did you feel at those two moments you just pointed out?
I felt like I knew the person that was since there were like different different perspectives of persons like Miguel, Luis, and Juan. So I didn't write down the first person, but I felt like I knew him more since you were giving me details about what he did and what he went through.
So the poems are kind of, they step into the voices of these people saying what in everyday interactions you don't really say to each other. You don't say, let me tell you my story, let me tell you what I did to get here, let me tell you what I left behind, let me tell you what scared me on the way here. So you do kind of know them a little bit. And in some ways writing a poem like this is because I want to know more. I want to know, okay, so I met somebody named Mario who worked in a restaurant, but I want to know if it's possible more about what that feels like coming from, you know, a different world. What other things did you notice or have questions about too? Because you do have the board here to answer questions.
There was a lot of metaphors in this poem that you can take into your own meaning, like a woman, mother, and more. You can, depending on what you think, you can take into different meanings.
Yeah. Were there places that your imagination went with that image?
I feel like it could be like a mother and more, like she was a mother and she also to the nurse, like how people help a lot of people. You can depend on what you feel about that poem.
Yeah, whatever your sense of need might be, that more allows space for that. I like that about poems. I think poets do a lot to make things really specific. And some of the details are like, you can't take them in other places. Like someone is climbing to the 6th floor carrying bags of beer in this poem. That's what they're doing. But then there are these areas that are a little bit more ambiguous, where, a word like more is supposed to anchor something, and you know that it's sort of a big word or a slippery word, and that's inviting you to fill into those spaces and with exactly those types of ideas. Yeah. What else?
Where this stuff out more for me was down from one, because it gives you that image like if someone crossing the frontier to get to another place or immigrating. And I really liked it too because they also remind me of a soldier. Because sometimes that's what they go through, things that maybe a soldier will have to go through. So that's really stuck out to me.
Yeah, like crossing on their bellies, right, through a hole. It even says dressed as soldiers and the faces painted in mud green. So it is that image, those images that we've seen, of people in military uniforms in combat. And it brings in that sense of danger, and it brings in that sense of, what does it do? If you're imagining, if this poem is saying someone who's coming across the border is doing what a soldier does, what are the feelings that come from the soldier's context that change your view of the person who's crossing the border to a hole? Does that question make sense? And I think, okay, well, we think of soldiers as heroes, right? We think of soldiers as people that are risking their lives for a good cause and for, whatever you want to put in there, freedom or justice. And to say someone who is crossing into the country by means that are, like some people would call illegal, they're behaving like heroes in another way, right? They're doing something heroic in order to solve something. So I think that's a big statement the poem is making. It's changing our perspective on something, even just for a minute. Then you go and you're somewhere else. So if we have that image of somebody doing crossing through, what does it feel like when you get to the end of that Juan section where he says we crossed on our bellies? I wonder if we'll ever stand up. What does that feel like?
Like he's afraid if he will ever come back up, and like if he's gonna be alive or if they're gonna kill him.
He's still not sure if he can find freedom and cross it successfully.
I hear that, definitely. And I also think of that, sometimes a poem, so these characters are distinct from each other, but they are all in the same poem, so I know them all, even if they don't know each other. And there's the next section, the next two sections of the poem, there are people who are here, and one says, there are people who move past us, they don't look, they don't know anything, they don't care. There's someone in the final section, Jesus, who, he seems a little bit angry. I want to smash a goblet in my fist. And so in some ways that image of somebody crossing on their bellies, wondering if they're ever going to stand up, also made me think of dignity. Like, I wonder if I'm ever going to feel like real, accepted, and I can be my full self and be taken as that. So that sense of it, I think, is what allowed the next two sections of the poem to adopt that as their question or their tone. Are there other things you want to say about this poem?
When Lewis, it says river crossed with wide black furs, like a wide black fur serpent. It was like the river was, like the current wasn't good. It was like really weak. dangerous and they had to go through a lot to pass the river. It was
Yeah. And then not only is it like that, like wild, but it swells with laughter. Like it's just staring you, right? It's not a friendly character in the poem.
In that same part, it says bodies of horses and boys, just like us, saying that there is a risk that you can die and that the dangerous path is part of the trip.
Yeah. That awful vulnerability. And it's like, yeah. I felt like that was a scary thing to write. I like it when my girls can do that. Do you feel like doing a little writing? I tell my students when I ask them that question that it's impossible to write a great poem in 10 minutes. So don't worry, that's off the table. But do you feel like trying to, do some things in language, maybe get a couple of lines that you could build from later when you have more time?
Yeah.
We're willing to try.
You're willing to try. Okay, so
Yes,
then,
indeed. Us teachers will do it with you.
okay. So,
You're the university teacher.
I know. Show me, don't tell me.
So you just heard a series of poems that are thinking about, well, one is thinking about another person from the outside, and the other one is attempting to imagine myself into another set of people's experiences. So all of the poems have a lot of like concrete images, right? There's a river, there's leaves, there's bags of beer, there's, a sink full of dishwater and dishes that create a sense of place and space and even contact. There are metaphors that bring feeling in, right? That are not just saying, the sky is blue. It's as blue as a robin's egg. No, we don't care. The sky is as blue as hunger or, passion or something. It's telling you the unusual way that whatever is being described feels. So those are the two things you should imagine that are going to be your priority right now. Choose someone that you have seen, that you know, someone that you could imagine your way into. And you're going to write a poem, but let's think of it as a couple of stanzas that are either an observation of that person, like the first poem I read about Mario, watching him doing something, listening to his story, or they're in the voice of that person, like Luis or Manuel. And you'll say, okay, I'm going to describe the place that this person has been. I'm going to describe the world as that person sees it. Maybe I'll tell a little tiny bit of that person's story. When I'm doing something like this, I say, all right, let me look closely at an example. Well, you don't have one in front of you, do you? So you have to look at what you have on your sheet that you wrote down and see if those details can be helpful. And I will set a timer, which is something you would never do if you were going to just be writing a poem for pleasure. But I'll set a timer for 10 minutes and see where you get. Even if it's just 1 or 2 sentences that can be vivid and descriptive and, driven by some sense of feeling, that would be great. Does anybody have a question before we start?
For those of us who are moving while you were giving instructions, so we're describing something in an unusual way, and there's something else you want us to think about?
Well, you're thinking of a person, it's not yourself. That's what it is. It's either you're going to be telling a story that involves that person, like the very first poem that I read, or you're going to be speaking in your imagined voice of that person, which is a way of saying, I want to try and get close to the real feelings of another person and their experience as they perceive it, which we can never really completely do. So understand that and do your best. And does that make sense? Okay, so go and then we'll see if it feels right. I'll set a timer for 10 minutes.
Can you write about your feelings towards someone else?
Well, Yes, but through the voice of that other person. So if you think your mother is so loving and kind, you're not going to say my mother is so loving and kind. You're going to say, you know, you're going to speak as though you are her, and you're going to say, I see my daughter is cold, and so I cover her with this. You know, like you'll come up with better things, but you're going to speak from that perspective. Does that sound good? Okay. All right, so 10 minutes. Don't overthink it. Pretend you're alone.